guys, and welcome back to Wednesdays on my channel. Wednesdays are the days that you guys ask me questions and I answer them in a little thing I like to call Ask Britt. And one day I'll be good enough at my job that I'll have this queued up by the time I'm actually ready to start the video. So, Dynamic Dylan wants to know, what was the first TV show or sitcom I remember watching? The very first sitcom I remember watching was a show called Perfect Strangers. It was about a guy, it was about two roommates, and one of which was not from America, and so they kind of had all these little misadventures because of it. I don't really remember much about it, but it was legitimately my favorite show until I was, I don't know, until probably Power Rangers happened in my life. So I have no idea why I loved it. My parents don't have any idea, have no idea why I loved it, but I just did, and I don't know. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, though. I think maybe I saw it as a teenager, like once or twice, but haven't seen it since. He also wants to know British comedy or American comedy and why. Like I said last week, sometimes you can tell when my friends ask me questions. Definitely British comedy. British comedy has been my favorite type of comedy since I was a senior in high school, getting into Red Dwarf. I had seen a few British comedies prior to that, but it wasn't until I got into Red Dwarf that I really got into British comedy. But I just find the witty, dry humor of the UK a lot better than the potty humor we tend to have here in America. I feel like the comedy here in America isn't as pristine as it could be. So if you notice, a lot of American television shows that I like tend to have dry, wittier, sarcastic humor. Choose Lover wants to know, what television show do I despise the most? And as I replied to him, do you want me to get into more YouTube drama or something, Matt? Actually, to be honest with you, there is no television show that I outright despise, but there are definitely television shows that I don't like as much. One that everybody seems to love that I just find absolutely no humor in is Seinfeld. I never got into Seinfeld. I chuckle every once in a while. Like, I actually spent like a good portion of my life trying to get into Seinfeld when I was a teenager. And I watched it like nonstop for like a week. Well, not nonstop, but like every time it was on, I like purposely sat down to watch it, and I chuckled maybe once or twice the entire week. I just don't get the humor. The humor is lost on me. I just don't find it funny. I don't find any sense in that show at all. So I'm sorry to those of you who love Seinfeld. His next question actually made me really passionate because I'm really excited to answer this question, but that is there any television show that you really enjoyed but eventually stopped watching because you didn't enjoy the direction the plot was heading? Actually, this happened to me twice so far in my life, and the first time was a show called Ghost Whisperer. It was my favorite show. Like, Ghost Whisperer was my absolute favorite show. Came out in like 2006, I think, and I just found it kind of intriguing because I've always loved ghosts. I've always loved the concept of like mediums and things like that, and I like the fact that it wasn't like a cop show, that it wasn't the police trying to get her to help them. It was quite literally just her kind of going about her life and being infiltrated by ghosts and stuff like that. Season 4 really messed everything up. I'm sorry to those of you who have not seen it and don't want to be spoiled, but there's no way for me to explain this without spoiling a major plot point in the show. But essentially, Melinda, the main character, her husband dies, and he, as a ghost, decides to possess a dead body, where he spends the rest of the series in this other person's body. You, as a fan, get to see the original actor Jim, or the original character Jim, or the actor David Conrad, but the characters, and even like in his reflections and things like that, you'll see the dead body that he possessed. And there are a bunch of reasons why I felt like this was a really poor decision. One of which just really stuck out to me. The season before, they actually had that same concept, but the body still deteriorated. And it wasn't like the body had been embalmed or anything like that. There was no indication that there was any difference other than the fact that Sam had just died versus this guy who had been dead for a couple of days. So it was just, they kind of conveniently forgot that story so that they could kind of reboot the show to an extent. And I just didn't appreciate it. Plus, they got rid of my favorite character, which is really funny when I'm watching, like, when I'm reading my memories on Facebook, because, like, I was so obsessed with the show, and I was so obsessed with Jay Moore. He played my favorite character, that, like, every single status update around the time that Jay Moore left the show to do Gary Unmarried for 2 years before that was canceled, was quite literally just me being like, but I miss Jay Moore. And then, like, all the comments just stopped because I just was like, I'm done with this show because I can't stand what they just did with this character. But I mean, other than that, the concept was just stupid. Like, it just was dumb, and it didn't fare well with fans. I mean, it was already on the cancellation bubble anyway, every single year, but it got canceled after season 5 because I don't think the fans could jump on board with that concept either. So, plus they had, like, this weird time jump in season 5 because she had a kid and they didn't want to deal with a baby. It's just dumb. Just dumb. The other one is actually more recent. That one is Once Upon a Time. I just haven't continued watching it, and I might sit down through the whole season and watch it, especially if it gets canceled this year. I may just watch through the season knowing that it's over, but at this point in time I have no real desire to continue with this reboot of Once Upon a Time. But that wasn't because I didn't enjoy the direction the show was taking. I just don't like the idea that they rebooted it. Plus, it lost its luster for me anyway, so there you go. And my friend Kamikaze Strawberry, Black Samurai K, she was on that account for some oddball reason. Anyway, her question is, what is or are my favorite episodes of Red Dwarf? Again, you know, when my friends are asking me questions. My absolute favorite episode of Red Dwarf is an episode called Quarantine. It is in season 5 or series 5. And Quarantine is absolutely amazing because they take my favorite character and they make him go crazy. And it's just fun because he's such a weirdo to begin with that it's just really fun. And one of my favorite scenes the entire series is where he is just in this red and white checked gingham dress and he's just talking to them, like, and they're just trying to ignore the fact that he's in the dress, and then all of a sudden that means that they're crazy because they weren't bringing it up. It's such a good show, and I want to fly on a magic carpet to go see the King of the Potato People. Some other really great honorable mentions for Red Dwarf would be the episodes Stasis Leak, Queeg, Time Slides, White Hole, Sirens is another good one. I'm trying to pick one from every season, except for I can't for season 7 or series 7 because I guess Tika to Ride technically is my favorite in series 7. I also do like Back to Reality, which is another episode from series 5. Basically all of series 5 except for Demons and Angels. That's just not my favorite episode. It's every single other episode is fantastic in series 5. And then I really love just the whole arc of Back in the Red from series 8 and Pete. I just really like series 8. And even though a lot of people don't, I really do. Anyway, that's it. So those are all the questions that I got for this week on my Ask Britt. If you guys want to ask questions next week, the theme is going to be animals because I love animals and I would love to talk more about them. So let me know in the comments below your questions that you have about animals, like ones I like, ones I don't like, things like that. Anyway, I will, even questions about my own animals, because I have a few of those. I live in a zoo. You can hear my frog's tank because I need to do a water change on her. So if you guys are here to learn more about me, I will see you guys all next week. But if you're here for all things geek, I will see you guys tomorrow with another Geek Talk. If you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should because I talk about geeky things. Anyway, I'll see you guys all either tomorrow or next week. Bye!